Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight on the Deep Ellum Radio show. This is your host, Jay Sustain. As always, we're going through some of the deepest tracks in electronic music every Saturday night, 8 to 10 p.m., right here on deepellumradio.com. As promised, we have a special guest in the studio sharing some of his music. I'm joined today by André The Brent, producing under the name Galactic Ark. How are you doing tonight? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jay. I'm doing great. Thanks.
Brent shared a track with me just a few days ago, and I was listening to it, said that's perfect for the Deep catalog. I'd love to bring you into the studio and talk about what it is that you do and how you do it. And tell me what inspires you. What is the drive for your style of music making?
I'm a synesthete, so if I see a painting, I'll hear sound. And if I hear a sound, I'll see colors.
Wow.
So the inspiration for me is usually something academic, like a chord change, or some kind of an idea that I get during my daily routine.
Very
Kind
cool.
of my self-talk inspires me. And if I can tell a story with my idea, then it usually becomes a full-fledged idea.
Yeah. Brent and I have spent countless minutes and time talking about the olden days and where we came from and some of the music that we enjoyed. I see you're wearing a Joy Division shirt right now, and we talked a little bit about 808 State. Are these some of the people that really inspired you to get into the music?
My father was part of a book club in the 60s and 70s. And so even though I was raised ultra-conservatively, I suppose my saving grace was that my parents believed that we should have a liberal arts education.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a lot of things that they didn't have, coming from farmers and preachers. My mother worked very hard. She was a hairdresser in the 1960s and worked at North Park. That was the place to be. So my mom was cool. She did the Marge Simpson haircuts.
Creative.
And my father was an AV director at a school, so he would bring home the punched-out centers of transparency frames, and that was my canvas to draw on when I was 2.
Wow.
And when I was about 9, I expressed the desire to learn to make music, but at the time I didn't know how to compose, so I got piano lessons. And that's where my inspiration with chord changes comes from.
Mm-hmm.
I was forced to read from the hymnal. For several years, my mother made me take 5 years of piano lessons.
Oh, wow.
And she said we could quit, gave us a participation trophy after 5 years. And so I quit for a year, and then I said, wait a minute, I need this. And so I took another 5 years. And I ended up meeting my junior high choir director. His name was Bob Singleton, and he was musical director for the show Barney and Friends.
Oh, wow, okay. Wasn't that filmed here? Was it filmed here?
They had a soundstage in Las Colinas. In fact, they had 2 of those booked up all the time.
I feel like I heard that.
Yeah, they ended up building their own facility out in the sticks before it disappeared. But for a while, they were as big as the Beatles,
Wow.
or bigger. Barney was bigger than the Beatles. And I have some of the instruments that went out on tour with him.
Wow, okay.
Some of which you'll hear on this recording.
That's so cool. So yeah, let's get to the recording. You sent us several tracks, and there was one in particular called A Sinister Plot is Uncovered. And not only was I intrigued by the name itself, but the song is very cool, and it's got a revealing manner how it builds and gets stronger as we go on. So before we get into the song itself, tell us how you played it. And you actually sent us a live version, correct, that you played live? A little bit different than the Bandcamp version. Tell us exactly how you made the song and what the technology you use.
This was a live electronics performance from the start. I had lived in Timber Creek for a while, if you remember that development, and I was working on my pop stuff, and I'm known to go for broke when I do a project, and I had achieved it, and so I took a roommate in to help me with expenses while I was recording the first Isopod album. And he came in shaken one night, had been robbed at gunpoint, and so I made an emergency lateral move out to Richardson. I don't know if it was any safer out there. But I had
determined.
I had my cats and my keyboards in this apartment, and this was basically an audio test to test my new installation. I had some vintage synthesizers, and at the time I had a Tascam Portastudio it was the big reel-to-reel version, the 388. I had that as the brain of the whole operation, and I was running Pro Tools, and I had stuck patch cords into the keys of the synthesizers to make drones, and a friend of mine came over, And by the end of the performance, he was lying on the floor, really blissed out by what we had created. He was a rock and roll guy, and I was in a band with him, and then he got turned on to electronics through what I was doing. And so this is a performance by me and John Loveland. It was performed live to 2 tracks in Pro Tools, and then it was later chopped up. I put it into an MPC, and I put MIDI on the MPC, and so I've kind of created a tempo map in Pro Tools after the fact. Mm-hmm. So it was a very loose performance, but then I put MIDI on top of it. I'm a big fan of MIDI. Yeah. And then I played the same synthesizers on top of that. That got chopped up and sampled again, and what you're hearing is a live performance of the MPC triggering off MIDI, and I'm performing the parameters on a few Moog synthesizers. This was in a little compact rig, 12U rack that I put on top of a stand.
Wow. Well, it sounds really cool, and we're excited to get into it. This is Galactic Ark, the live mix of A Sinister Plot is Uncovered.
This is Galactic Ark. I'm André The Brent, and you're listening to the Deep End Radio Show.
Really cool song right there from Galactic Ark. Again, that's the live mix of A Sinister Plot is Uncovered. And I'm joined here in the studio with André The Brent from Galactic Ark. Brent, talk to us about the future. What's going on? Are you writing any new music, recording? Do you have any live shows coming up? Tell us about what's going on.
I'm getting ready to drop 4 Isopod albums. Isopod is my synth pop project.
Cool.
And a lot of these works were put into EPs while I was touring in the early 2000s. Through about 2010, and then I moved to Portland, where I did some stuff with Atomic Arts. They were doing Trek in the Park. So I became the sound of the Enterprise with my synthesizer.
Oh, that sounds cool.
You know, that was something that I did for a while, and there might be some social media coming, but mostly I'm working on my pop projects. Mm-hmm. I have a new venue at which I'll be hosting some shows. Well, this came out of lockdown. During lockdown, I did something called the Isolation Show. Yep. And it was an Isopod performance that I wanted to give people so that they wouldn't so that
they wouldn't lose their minds in isolation.
Yes, I lost my own mind for about 4 months, and then I said, "Wait a minute, I have no choice but to do everything I've always wanted to do right now, right here." So I decided to make a performance on which I would perform all the parts. I set up my phone in portrait mode, and I filmed myself on a black background and stitched that together. So I played all the parts that my side guys, hi Coy, hi Jordy, usually do. And I stitched that together, and that was live streamed for a Pop Vox Christmas live stream. And that's something that I've been doing for about a decade now. It's a Christmas show that we do out in California, and that has become an online stream. So you can find that stuff on YouTube. I'm dropping these 4 Isopod albums. I've got the venue. I'm thinking of doing a record listening party at this new space. It's in the Lake Highlands area.
Cool. Well, definitely send me the information. We'd love to share it, get that information out there as well. We're going to listen to one more track here and be back here in the studio in just a second with André The Brent from Galactic Ark. You are tuned in to the Deep End Radio Show. This is your host, Jay Sustain. We've had some really cool stuff tonight, including short interviews, short time with André The Brent from Galactic Ark. He shared a really cool track with us right there. You'll be able to find this show on mixcloud.com/deependstudios. Just type in the Deep End Radio Show and you'll be able to find that there. Before we go, I would like to, again, find out where can we find you on social media? How can we get in touch with you? Are you on Bandcamp, Spotify? Where can we find your music and your content?
My ambient work is on Bandcamp. galacticark.bandcamp.com. My synth pop is isopod.bandcamp.com. And my Instagram is @isopodlabs.
Wonderful. I want to check that out. Before we go, I'd like to check out one of your Isopod tracks too, if that's cool.
There's a place I know I used to go there in my youth, yeah. Coming home from school to play throughout the afternoon, yeah. Digging with my fingers in the earth for what I'd find there. Roly-poly friends, the subterraneans, the scavengers, yeah. Kiss the little isopods, roly-poly day. Love the little isopods, hurry in their way.
Watching on my hands and knees, see them walking by so happily. See all those little isopods, all of them just loving to do their job. All the doodlebugs cruise and groove in singles and families. I love the way those doodles move. The isopods fill me with glee.
Friends that I found there, the scavengers, the bottom dwellers, yeah. Capturing the world inside a Gerber baby food jar. Kiss the little isopods, roly-poly day. Love the little isopods, hurry in their way.
Crickets sing of insect things, make me want to sing along. Like violins, the crickets sing, they make me want to sing along. All the crickets on the cricket farm work all day, dance by half, loved forever, safe from harm, praising God with mirth and warmth.
Kiss the little isopods, roly-poly day. Love the little isopods, hurry on their way. Doodlebugs, that's what they're called.
Again, thanks for tuning in to the Deep End Radio Show. This is Jay Sustain. We're here every Saturday night, 8 to 10 p.m. We've been joined in the studio by André The Brent of Galactic Ark. an artist, electronic music artist, right here from Dallas, Deep Ellum neighborhood. He's been so gracious to come in and hang out with us. Thanks again for hanging out with us, Brent.
Thanks, Jay. It's been a pleasure.
Keep it locked right here on deepellumradio.com. We'll be here until 10 p.m.
This is Galactic Ark. I'm André The Brent, and you're listening to the Deep End Radio Show.